Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sports Ethics and Social Justice. Of course, I'm your professor, Robert Romano. You are my students. And we're going to continue today's discussion by talking a little bit more about sports ethics and the concepts of gamesmanship and sportsmanship. So, the concept of gamesmanship, right? This is interesting. It occupies that gray area between good sportsmanship and outright cheating. All right, it utilizes tactics that are dubious and are designed to unsettle opponents, right? So this is that gray area, right, um, between what is right and what is wrong. Right? It's right in that middle. Is this wrong? Is this right? I don't know. Gamesmanship. Interestingly, thing about gamesmanship is that it's technically not against the rules. All right, so it can't be considered cheating if it's not against the rules, but is it really in the best spirit of the game? So, gamesmanship is some examples would be trash talking, right? Trash talking is that it's gamesmanship, right? You're talking up the opponent, trying to talk to them when they're at the foul line, or talking to the quarterback before the snap, that kind of stuff. Could be taking an inordinate amount of time between points in a tennis match, right? You're showing up, trying to show up the other side, or taking an extra long time to run around the bases after hitting a home run. Right, freezing an opponent is another example of gamesmanship. This is when players about ready to take a foul shot at the end of the game, maybe to tie or win the game, or place kicker or field goal kicker is going to kick the game-winning field goal. The opponent calls a timeout right at the last second to try to freeze that opponent, try to get into their head a little bit. And these are all examples of gamesmanship. Also, another one may be a player in basketball is going up for a layup, bam, you hit him with a foul. You're going to get a penalty imposed. So is that really gamesmanship, right? You know that there's going to be a penalty imposed. You know that's against the rules to foul someone when they're going for a layup. So is that more cheating than gamesmanship? Should you foul somebody? Or is that just strategy? All right. Another example is a manager getting ejected to try to motivate a team. You see them do it all the time, especially in baseball. They get all excited and jump up and down and yell and scream in order to get the troops rallied. All right, gamesmanship. Problem with gamesmanship, though, it kind of violates the spirit of the game. Right? It's not considered cheating, but it is not sportsmanship at the same time, right? So shouldn't we all be ethically about sportsmanship, right? Being positive, helping the other team, not about showing the other team up. Of course, it's a competition between two different teams, but do you have to beat that other team down? Right? So does this gamesmanship violate the spirit of the game? Then that's my question for you to think about. Gamesmanship defined, and this will be the definition that I'd be looking for on the quiz. So let me write that down. It's a quiz question. I'll put it in the quiz sheet. It's the exam questions right here. So gamesmanship defined. So if I ask you on the quiz, please define the term gamesmanship. It's a winning at all cost mentality. It is the way that sports may be, but not how it should be. Okay? It includes looking for exceptions to the rules. Taunting, fake fouls, illegal head starts, taunting just to gain an advantage, injuring another player, intimidating, espionage, Spygate kind of stuff. All right? It's a method of winning by means of unsportsmanlike behavior that doesn't actually break the rules. Right? So this is this area of gamesmanship. It's unsportsmanlike, but it doesn't break the rules. Is it dirty? I don't know. Is it the right thing to do? Depends on how severe it is, I guess, right? Doing a little trash talking never really hurt anyone, but does it? Does it get into their heads? Scottie Pippen said, he got into Karl Malone's head during the finals. By when Karl Malone went to the free throw line, he walked up to him and said, "Mailman doesn't deliver today." And it kind of got into his head, and he missed both of the free throws. That could have put the Jazz up on top of the Bulls. So could have led to the Bulls not winning a championship. I doubt it, but but there's this kind of thing. Is that really on the spectrum is not all that bad. A good example of gamesmanship that I don't like or I think is too extreme is there was a high school coach in California somewhere. He was a high school track coach, and they were in the championship match, and there was an opponent who was wearing a friendship pole vaulter, female pole vaulter who was wearing a friendship bracelet, and she was wearing it because her friend had died, and it's not really it's just a piece of cloth around her a piece of cloth around her wrist. And this girl pole vaulted, and she pole vaulted so high and broke the record. But at the same time of breaking the record, the state record, she also got enough points for her team to win the match and to eventually win the championship, which was great, right, for her. But the coach ratted her out, basically. Said she's wearing a friendship bracelet. This is against conference rules, which read, jewelry should not be worn by contestants. So he complained. He went to the judges and said her jump, her pole vault there was a violation of the rules because she was wearing a friendship bracelet of her friend who had recently passed. Judges disqualified her. They ended up losing the event and the league championship. Now, is this sportsmanship? Definitely a lot. Is this gamesmanship? The worst of it, I think, in my opinion. The bracelet, the friendship bracelet had nothing to do with the match whatsoever. It didn't give her an advantage. It didn't give this young pole vaulter anything to help her jump higher or excel, but it may have given her motivation to do well. But was it enough to disqualify her? I don't think so. And I don't think this is what sports is about. This is not sportsmanship at all. But there are many different examples. Sportsmanship, however, is the opposite of gamesmanship. Sportsmanship is where you conduct yourself in a manner to increase rather than decrease the pleasure found in the sporting activity. All right, it's the conduct that increases the pleasures found in sporting activity for both yourself and for your opponent. That's the key to this. It's both for yourself and for your opponent. So in my last example, did this increase or the pleasures found in the sporting activity? I think the coach ratting out this young girl, I think it decreased for both your team and your opponent's team. I decreased the pleasure. Because think about it. The girl is devastated. Young pole vaulter is devastated. She feels guilty. She lost the event and the championship for her team by wearing this silly friendship bracelet. But what about the opposing team now who won? Do they really think they deserve it? Do they really feel like champions? Do they really feel that they're the best? Does it really decrease their pleasure? Really? Because they know, no, we weren't the best. We were the best by some stupid rule. We were the best because some coach did something not so cool. So does it really increase, what the coach did, does it really increase the pleasures found in sporting? Absolutely not. I think it decreased the pleasures found in sporting from both sides. All right, so sportsmanship is to conduct yourself in a manner that increases rather than decreases the pleasures found in the sporting activity for all involved. All right, for all involved, and that's the definition I'll be looking for when I ask that on the quiz. Sportsmanship involves the values of fair play, adherence to the letter and the spirit of equality as indicated in the rules, regulations, and customs of the game. Right, and this is the key, right? Adherence to the letter and spirit of the rules. And the spirit of the rules with jewelry, you're not wearing jewelry during a competition. It's wearing a friendship bracelet of a recently deceased friend. Is that really what they were talking about in the rules? So sportsmanship involves the values of fair play and adherence to the rules, but looking at them not just in black and white, but in a way that's okay, yeah, in this case it makes sense, but in this case it doesn't. It makes absolutely no sense. All right, it's not a strict adherence to the rules and regulations of the games. All right, it's being smart about things. for lack of a better way to put it. Okay, sportsmanship, interestingly, has been codified. Right, how you codify sportsmanship is interesting, but it has been codified by the NCAA. Of course, the NCAA. The NCAA says that they have rules of ethical conduct, amateurism, financial aid, academic standards, eligibility, and agents. And all these are to help to promote sportsmanship. All right, rules of ethical conduct. Okay, amateurism. Interesting one. The NCAA's argument that having rules that promote amateurism increase sportsmanship, or for the purposes of sportsmanship. It's an interesting argument. Amateurism is defined differently by whatever governing body is out there. Right? So think about it. I mean, the NCAA defines how they view amateurism, whereas the International Olympic Committee defines the term amateurism differently. So, what does all this mean? I find that the NCAA is codifying sportsmanship, and within that, the rule they're saying you need to be sportsmanlike conduct is acting like an amateur or in the amateur context. But does the NCAA really understand the term amateurism? That's my question. There's a long history to the term amateurism, which we will not get into in this course, but I may post a paper on for you to read. Also, financial aid, academic standards, eligibility, and agents. It's not sportsmanlike to have an agent. Wow. Okay, why not? When I think about it, why can't a young athlete have an agent to talk to them, to guide them, to tell them their value, tell them whether they should declare themselves eligible for the draft or get outside promotional money from endorsements or sponsorships? Why not? How is that not being sportsmanlike? Well, it's the NCAA. We'll never answer those questions. And all these are for reasons of sportsmanship, which blows my mind sometimes. But it's the NCAA. Okay, so sportsmanship has also been codified by the NFL and the other major sports properties are out there. The NFL has an integrity of the game clause in every player contract. Right, integrity of the game clause. Right, so basically it says you cannot accept bribes. You cannot bet on games. You cannot knowingly associate with gamblers. You cannot use performance enhancement drugs or recreational drugs. And you can do nothing detrimental to the league. Okay, interesting. You can do nothing detrimental to the league. So, the sportsmanship has been tried to be codified. But I don't think it's a concept that really can be codified. I mean, I think it depends on the player themselves, who they are, how they learn the game, how they grew up playing the game, that kind of stuff. Having rules say you cannot use recreational drugs or performance enhancement drugs or do anything detrimental to the league does not make you sportsmanlike. That's just telling you what to do. It could be a guide. I mean, I think you learn how to be a good sport through coaching, through mentoring, that kind of thing. Telling you how to be a good sport is a different way. Is a different thing. I mean, through rules. All right. So a good example of sportsmanship was, and I think you probably all are familiar with this. There was a few years back, a softball player hit a home run. And as she was rounding first base, she collapsed. Her knee gave way. She did something to her knee and she just fell. Well, the rules say that you can put a pinch runner in, and that'd be fine. But she would not get a home run. She would have to be on first base because that's where she got hurt. So the pinch runner could come in, but the pinch runner would have to line up on first base. And this will mean that this home run would be erased. All right, wouldn't it be a home run? It'd be a single. Well, interestingly enough, what do? I mean, if you're a coach for that team, do you just put a pinch runner in and save this girl? The further injury from running around the bases. What do you do if you're the other team? She hit a home run, right? She deserved the score to score. But what they did was go to this video www, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. And watch what the other team did. All right. Basically, in a nutshell, two of the players from the opposing team picked her up and walked around the bases so she could score a home run. Now that's sportsmanship, right? That was to the detriment. This woman was going to score a home run. That was to the detriment. She's going to score a point, but it's the right thing to do. She did the work. She hit the home run. She got injured, right? She couldn't make her way around the base. But go to the video. All right, watch the video. I play it now. Just too long. It's like 6 minutes long. Just watch the video and let's talk about this on Friday and what your reaction to this video. Okay. Ethical choices. Okay, all this leads to ethical choices, gamesmanship and sportsmanship. All this leads to ethics. And one author has said, for James Wolfe, an author, he said that baseball, the game of baseball itself, blurs the line between gamesmanship and sportsmanship more than any other sport out there. All right, no other sport blurs the line between gamesmanship and sportsmanship than the game of baseball. And I think about this, and yeah, you may be right. James Wolfe may be right. I don't know. I mean, I haven't done an in-depth analysis on it and studied it. But yeah, baseball is kind of strange. But let's talk about this on the Zoom class on Friday, right? Baseball, they steal signs, right? Stealing signs is an art form. Astros brought it to a level beyond anybody else, right? They scuff balls, they cork bats, they have phantom tags, they do brushbacks. Right, they do all these different things that are really not sportsmanlike. No, stealing signs is not sportsman. It's gamesmanship. It's cheating, isn't it? Scuffing balls. Is that gamesmanship? It's not sportsmanship. Corking bats. All these things, but are they ethical? Should they be allowed to happen? Right? Intentionally hitting a batter after they hit one of yours. I mean, this is done in baseball. Why? I mean, you got to think about it. This pitcher has a weapon. This little ball. There's a little white ball, red stripes or whatever, red threads. And he throws it at over 90 miles an hour at another human being. I mean, this would not be accepted on the streets of Queens. Would not be accepted on the streets of the Bronx. Well, maybe the Bronx. Just kidding. I live in the Bronx. But this is conduct that would not be accepted, to take a hard object and throw it at a human being however many feet away. It just doesn't happen, right? But it's allowed in baseball. It's done in baseball. It's sometimes even encouraged in baseball, right? Ethically, should something be done about this, right? Should the commissioners, should the league owner, team owners do something about this? Baseball's been around for over 100 years. Nothing's been done. So it's an interesting concept. And go to this video too if you'd like. I mean, because the reaction of players who get hit sometimes leads to bench clearing brawls. Right? You know this as well as I do if you ever watch a baseball game. Right? You get hit, they hit your player, you hit their player, bam. Right? Everybody's in the middle of the field going at it. Well, how is this in the best interest of the game? How is this in the best interest of the children who are watching? All right, think about that fact. We had this whole congressional hearing on PEDs, the Mitchell report, that talked about whether players should use PEDs, and one of the things that they determined was, well, children watch, and if they're watching their heroes and they're the people, the best baseball players in the world use PEDs, that's detrimental to the children. So we got to do something about this. Well, having grown men fight in the middle of a baseball field, isn't that detrimental to kids also? And shouldn't the commissioners and shouldn't the hierarchy in baseball do something about it? Just a thought. All right. Is this, like I said, is this sportsmanship? Is this ethical? It's definitely not sportsmanship. I can't see it. And I don't think it's even ethical. All right. Spying. Another ethical choice that teams have to make. Spying, right? Trying to get that advantage on your team. Is scouting the same as spying? Right? There's the question. I mean, teams scout each other to kind of know what their tendencies are so you can develop schemes to help stop them. I mean, used to be teams would trade film of other teams, right? And that was perfectly acceptable. But stealing signs, is that legal or illegal? Right? Depends on how it's done. Astros brought it up to a whole different level last year, and it led to my Yankees not winning the World Series, which for a guy who lives in the Bronx means a lot. Some coffee. Um, but where is the level of this, sign stealing? When is it okay? When isn't it okay? Or is it should never be okay? Right? Kind of ethical questions we need to think about. And if you, as a sports executive, a sports manager, what would you do with this? What would you do with the Astros? How would you handle it? All right, that's a very ethical question that you need to ponder. Let's say you were the commissioner of baseball. Do you take away the World Series from the Astros because of what they engaged in during the series and then during the playoff run? I don't know. I would. All right, Spygate, Patriots, right? What do? You fine them $500,000, right? No big deal. But do you allow this kind of tendencies to happen, or stealing, videotaping other people, other teams, and all that stuff? Do you allow this to happen? What do you do? How do you stop it? Those kind of things. So you, as sports executives, need to think about that. Okay, read the 2 articles. Read the one on the Astros. Read the one on the Spygate. We'll talk about it a little bit on Friday. The last thing we're going to talk about in this video is the ethical choice of trash talking. Right? Is it legal? I mean, is it ethical? It's more accurately. Is it ethical to trash talk? I mean, should you talk up the opponent? I mean, that's a great question. The NCAA says no. It prohibits trash talking by both players and fans. They feel it has no place on the court. Professional sports, it is allowed. Right? Isn't it just part of the game? Right? You get to a certain level, you get to be professional, talking and trying to get in somebody else's head. Isn't that just part of being a professional? Or is it too much? Can it go too far? Right? And when I played, I was a trash talker. There was no question in my mind. I talked. I talked pretty much the entire game. I would tell people on the other team my entire life story during the course of the game. Why? I don't know. It was just something I did. But that was me. But can it go too far? And could it go to the point where certain terms and certain language is used that it could be considered hate speech? Right? Could it go to that level? I've heard some trash talking escalate. I've heard some trash talking go to a level you're like, whoa, that's too far. That's too much. Okay? So should you stop it at all? Should you allow it, or should you control it somehow? Right? Think about this from a sports manager, sports executive frame of mind. How are you going to handle these things? All right? So let's take these last 3 things. Let's talk a little bit more about them in detail. During the Friday Zoom class, I just want to give you a little flavor of what we're going to be talking about. Bring some questions on these topics. All right. There's a video out there. There's many videos on trash talking. YouTube it. You'll find some funny ones. Michael Jordan was the king of trash talking. Larry Bird. I mean, some NFL players have brought it to another level. So, yeah. So let's discuss these issues, these last 3 issues, whether they're ethical and what you would do as a sports manager or a sports executive once you graduate from St. John's and you're in charge. And we'll go from there. All right. Well, thank you. And if you have any questions, always feel free to contact me by whatever means. And Zach, read a book. All right. Take care.